Coming up on podcast 995, the Bolt and the GM Bolt EUV have been revealed. Stick around and I'll tell you more. Also on the podcast today, Hyundai let us look inside the IONIQ 5 before the official reveal. How much of the US market did Tesla take, and why are Lucid close to being a public company? I'll give you those details and a lot more on today's EV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening in the world. Welcome to the show for Tuesday, 16th of Feb. My name is Martin Lee. I go through every EV article I can find, whittle it down, and just bring you a little 20-minute shot of EV news to save you time. I know you're busy. We're trying something new this week as a lead into 1,000 shows. We're 5 away from 1,000, and people said, do more YouTube. We tried it before Christmas, made 4 or 5 videos, quite highly produced, looked great but took forever, and so trying something new now, which is just turning on the camera and recording this show being done live streamed or just recorded live. So looking for feedback on that to see if it, for the YouTube audience, whether you would like more of this kind of thing, and then we can save those bigger videos for maybe once a week or something when I've got time to make them on the weekend. So let's kick off with that news of the new Chevy Bolt and the Bolt EUV. On Valentine's Day, we got to see refreshed versions of the Bolt and the new EUV. Both are built on the original Bolt mechanics, so no Ultium batteries here, which is GM's brand marketing name for the next gen technology. But look, it's fine. The cells used in the Bolt are good. They're LGs. They're LG chems. They are found in the Zoe, the ID4, the Audis. Look, they're good. They're absolutely fine. The newly refreshed and improved Bolt EUV has an MSRP $5,000 lower than 2021, says Dominic Yoni at Inside EVs. It's $32,000, including destination. Yeah, that's really good for a 250-mile plus EV. The Bolt EUV has a price tag of $34,000. Gone are the acres of hard plastics that had a bit of an economy vibe. Now, soft touch surfaces make the car look a lot more luxurious when you're inside. The Bolt EV gets a new 10.2-inch touchscreen in the center stack and a fresh layout as well, allowing for Apple CarPlay and also Android Auto. If you want, you can tether your devices. Maybe the kids in the back got some tablets. They've got a hotspot in the car, 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging for your mobile phone. Both cars, the Bolt and the Bolt EUV, entering production later this year. So if you want to be first in line, you can get the first edition of these cars. On the outside, they don't look wildly different. They don't look hugely... they're both called a Bolt. I don't know why I would say that. They're both called the Bolt. One is the EUV is bigger, longer, and taller. I've seen people online today making that criticism, particularly fans of Tesla who are, with no sense of irony, saying, this is so lazy from GM, they've just made a slightly bigger version of their existing car. Model 3. Model Y. Anyway, moving on. At least these are both called the Bolt. The cars, like I say, come in at a great price for a lot of miles. The specs have stayed pretty similar on these, but you get Super Cruise in the launch edition, which I've never personally used. I would love to, but we can't travel at the moment, and when I can get on a plane, it probably won't be to come to the US just to try Super Cruise, but if I'm there, I'd like to give it a go. The first edition, as they call it, is $44,000. So that's a lot more than the launch price of $32,000 for the smaller Bolt as well, which you've got to wait a little bit longer for to get that cheaper version. So if you are desperate to get the first edition, you can for 44 grand. And both look like great cars from the outside, kind of sharp, nice. They're not blending in with the crowd. They've got some styling details, like those headlights, those razor thin headlights or daytime running lights. They look nice, by the way. So yeah, looking at the specs, about the same as you're used to with the Bolt. 200 horsepower, 150 kilowatts of power, 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. That's all the fast I need. 260 miles of range, 8-year warranty, 100,000 mile warranty, 11 kilowatt onboard charger, which if you can spec that for your garage is great. I'm on a 32 amp socket, which is 7 point something kilowatts, and it's absolutely fine at home. But, my car does 22 kilowatt AC charging, which is useful if you're out and about, and I find a 22 kilowatt post They're often free. They're on AC. That's good. This car's maybe Achilles heel. Maybe. Some have been very critical today about this, and that is that they haven't updated the charging for the Bolt, and the Bolt EUV is the same as well. So 55 kilowatt DC fast charging. Does it matter? I say no, because the audience, the consumer of this car, aren't going to be doing 50,000 mile a year road trips around the country. And because most people charge at home, and because, yes, its peers can charge quicker, like the Kona, e-Niro, ID4, etc. But a lot of time is spent looking at peak charge rate, and actually, if you look at a lot of EVs, they might have a peak charge rate of 100, but as soon as they start filling up that battery, they're ramping down pretty quickly. Now, some don't. The e-tron, the Porsche Taycan, they charge quickly all the way to the end of their charging curve. But some of those cars, when they're 20% full, they're already charging at 50 or 60 kilowatts. They've ramped down. So what's the point in networks paying mega bucks for new transformers, for new grid infrastructure to get more power into these locations when the cars can only pull that amount of power for a short period of time? So is this a big deal? I don't think so. Some people do. Maybe it would get old very quickly if you are needing to do a lot of miles and you can only charge at 55. Again, depends on the charge curve, doesn't it? The EUV is 16 centimeters longer. Not a big deal. Half a ruler longer, 6 inches longer, 3 inches more rear legroom. Heated and ventilated front seats, heated seats in the rear, panoramic sunroof, and Super Cruise, like I say. So, and one pedal driving, which a lot of people really like. So you can either pull the paddles behind the steering wheel for more regen, or you can push one pedal driving button, and then it is just modulating your right foot to go, faster and slower, and not using the middle pedal. I liked it. I like the Bolt and the Bolt EUV. Both look like good cars to me because of the price. Because ignore the first edition, which comes with an illuminated charger and or charging socket and special first badging. I don't care. That's not persuading me to spend 10 grand more. Get the base model, spend 30. That before dealer incentives, before regional or state level incentives, and for $20,000, you're getting a genuine 250 mile EV with a 65 kilowatt hour battery pack. I think it's a winner. That's your headline story today. Right, let's get through the rest of the EV news to talk about Hyundai releasing some EVs under the brand name IONIQ. And their media center, their newsroom, gave us a glimpse today of the interior. It looks very clean, very simple. A couple of things to note. Massive screen inside it. We knew that. We're going to have a huge screen. And also the center armrest console with the cup holders in moves forwards and backwards, like the Nissan Aria does, if you haven't seen that, independently. All the seats move independently. So that, don't all seats, but they said they're designed to especially give access to the rear to help if you've got kids in the back and things like that. Of course, it's a dedicated EV platform. It's called the eGMP or eGimp. All of the Hyundai cars and the Kias and Genesis are going to be built on the GIMP, and it's a pure EV platform. So all their cars at the minute have been designed. They're not compromised cars in that they were combustion cars with batteries stuffed in. They were designed, like the Kona and the Niro, designed to have batteries in, but also engines. So their new platform, pure battery electric car, 800 volt charging. Anyway, this picture they've shown of the inside of it looks sweet, looks nice, and the seats have got little bolsters that come out under your knees, so that they call it relax and charge, and so that it turns the two front seats into lazy boys. Basically, if you don't want to get out when you're charging for half an hour on the fast charger and do some activities, you can stay in the car, kick back, put the chair back in the lazy boy, and relax. The leg rests come out like premium seats on airlines. It looks nice. Okay, let's move on then, and let's talk about Tesla taking a big old chunk of the US market. They took 80% of the US car market. That is a huge amount, but not surprised. And the numbers are out as well in terms of the models, according to Automotive News and Experian. They took 79% of the US market in 2020, 21% carved up amongst everybody else. Model 3, then Model Y, they were far and away out front. Then it's GM's Bolt, a very distant third. Then the X and the S, again, a very distant, long way behind. The Tesla is all about the 3 and the Y. I want them to keep the S and the X because, firstly, sexy, obviously, S3XY, and also because, I'm attached to them because it's where the company started, and I just think there are buyers for those cars. They could get rid of those cars from the lineup and just be a pure all-in 3Y Cybertruck company, but obviously not doing that because they've refreshed the S and the X. So they are insignificant in the grand scheme, but I'm glad that they've refreshed them and kept them in the lineup because I like those cars. But when you look at those cars that are on sale, that is the US EV market. And so it's funny, people say to me about how much news on this podcast is covered from other car makers from Europe and China as well. And I know some of my US listeners sometimes can't get over how much their EV news there is, because in the US it is just... I'm simplifying things here. It is a one-horse race. Let's go to China next, where Tesla is offering Enhanced Autopilot, and they're doing it not for free, but on a trial basis, because as part of their Chinese New Year celebrations, Enhanced Autopilot is free until the end of the month. And so a couple of offers. Firstly, for new buyers who got their vehicles before February 15th, you can have it for a month for free to try it out. If you got your car from February 16th to the middle of the summer, if you get your car then, you get a 30-day trial of full self-driving. And it is interesting that Elon Musk noted on a recent call that the take rate is between 1% and 2%. Surprised he said that because it's a very negative number. But he was just being honest, I guess. And it is, I don't know what the number would compare to Europe. Here, the regulations are different. So things like summon, it's not worth paying for that because you've got to be almost standing next to the car, and things like navigate on autopilot work slightly differently. It's very, very good here, but it's not like in the US where the regulations are lighter. And you can do more with autopilot and FSD, and actually Enhanced Autopilot I think could be a really good option for some people because it's on the market now here and in Europe as well. So it's not the full FSD price, but it's halfway house, and you get the really useful bits that actually we're allowed to use from the regulators. And so I would go for that. Not that I'm in the market for it, but China doesn't seem to be in the market at all for full self-driving. So we'll carry on watching that. But it's a nice thing that people are getting the chance to try the technology. Free 1-month trial, first hit for free, and they're going to bill them. Isn't that how all subscriptions work? Next, we'll talk about Apple and Nissan. Is Nissan going to build the Apple car? No. Turns out that actually they were talking, according to one report in the Financial Times, picked up by Business Insider, a sad Tim Cook, probably because it's another deal that seems to be off the table. Seems to be a similar case to the Hyundai and Kia deal, which was they probably wanted their name on the car somewhere. They're big car makers. Same with Nissan. And Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, the alliance, really. A big name, and they would not want to be an unbranded Foxconn, because the company that makes the iPhone, what do you know about them? Nothing. And so I think Apple would probably want, ideally, a big company to make the Apple car, and it'll be branded the Apple car. But I can't think of a big company who would be willing to just suck it up and just be Apple's, producers. They'd want some credit. So then you're left with smaller. There are plenty of companies in the world that make EVs, like Magna make a brilliant Jaguar I-Pace, and the Fisker. Fisker's going to be made by Magna as well. Fisker doing things different, a very smart way, very asset light. So Fisker are doing what they're good at. So Henrik is good at designing cars, but why would you build a factory if you don't, well, firstly, have the money, but also for their SUV, the Ocean, if you're building it in numbers that suit one of these companies like a Magna, building it in Austria, just do that. And so I'm excited for the Fisker Ocean. I can't wait to see more of it this summer. But Apple can't do that because everything they do is on scale, so they need a bigger company like a Hyundai or a Nissan, but they're not going to want to just be a silent partner. Interesting stuff. Let's move on. One of the biggest stories of the year is Lucid and the Lucid Air on sale really soon, and it looks like they're going to be public very soon thanks to another one of these reverse mergers, these SPACs or SPACs. They're doing a $12 billion valuation after the veteran deal maker Michael Klein and his blank check acquisition firm launched a financing efforts to do a string of deals with EV makers. According to Autoblog, the fund will help continue to grow Lucid as a public company. Until now, they've been taking private money, like the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. Churchill Capital is the SPAC, the Special Purpose Acquisition Company, already public, already IPO'd. The way these things work is they float and people invest in them not knowing what they're going to be investing in eventually. Then they have a period of time where they have to go out and find a company to reverse merge with. In this case, it's Lucid. And so then if you were lucky enough to have shares in Churchill, and then they've already gone up by 300% since all this Lucid talk started. It's the way that Fisker are doing it. It's the way that Nikola did it, and loads have done it in the last 12 months, especially in the EV world as well. It's a way of becoming public very quickly, of avoiding that long IPO process, which, you know, is good for scrutiny. There you go. Maybe that's how Lucid will end up going public. Looks like it. So let's talk about a new car in the UK, the Citroën EC4, an electric version of the C4. You won't be surprised to hear it is, it's looking like another solid car from that stable of cousin cars and sister cars from the old Peugeot Citroën group, now part of Stellantis, the new company, which was formed when they did a deal with Fiat Chrysler. So usual specs for this platform: 100 kilowatt motor, 100 kilowatt DC fast charging, 50 kilowatt hour battery, and starts at 30 grand. Now, about 32, I think. Now, it's frustrating because the engine in this is and if you don't look at the monthly deals, but look at actually the purchase price, you can pick one up for about 24 grand, and yet the EV is 10,000 more, which is frustrating because a battery doesn't add that much to the price. But anyway, I guess you've got to develop the cars, but still. But then typical kind of car maker configurator. I just wish they'd explain EVs better. There's just this slab of text which tells you what you've got, and somewhere buried down it is 7.4 kilowatt onboard charging. That's one of the options. You can option it to have an 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Very useful, maybe, for some people, but it's just like this long list of things, not even separated by internal, external performance, battery stuff. And so I don't know if you need to, 1 minute you're looking at the charge speed, the next it says row 1 and 2 curtain airbags. Like, well, that's nice, but don't tell me that with the same priority level of, do I need to be paying attention to what do I need to spec and option and those kind of things. So, some of these configurators with EVs are not the best. I think gold standard Teslas, Apples, if you're buying an iPhone, keep it simple. Give me a few options, unless you're buying a Porsche, and then every Porsche owner wants their car to be unique. So just give them a zillion options to pick from. But there we go. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about a new little car coming to Europe. It's currently China's #1 EV as of January this year. It's made by Wuling. It's the Mini EV, not a Mini, but it's called the Mini EV, and it's coming to Europe through an importer, which is rebranding it. So the importer company called Darts, and they've called it the Nick Rob Freeze. It's a microcar, 2 adults, really. It has got 2 seats in the back, but you wouldn't use them. They're Latvian. The importer is Latvian. They're called Darts Motors, but motors with a Z, which is suitably bonkers. Brilliant. And it's going to cost 10,000 euros. Please send one my way. I would love to try one of these out for a month and just to play around with it. They've even put some pictures online to announce that it's coming. And it's just the car in the snow with the pretty lady standing around it. Obviously, maybe that's how you market a car in Latvia. Who knows? This is brilliantly bonkers. And it's got camouflage on. But why? Because it's just the Mini EV. They've got to make some changes because the Chinese one has halogen headlights, which is crazy. It's an EV and they suck power. So the LEDs are going into this. But it's why it's more than twice the price of the Chinese version, even after you've imported it, because they're doing some stuff. I think they're adding ABS and some other bits and bobs as well, Going to be on sale in Germany, Norway, and France. Wonderful, brilliant, bonkers, ace. Bring it on. No frills. It's got heating, by the look of it. And electric windows, probably, I imagine, because I can't see any handles for the windows. And a radio. What more do you want? It's 10 grand. Brilliant. Go 124 miles. Great as a second or third car. Anyway, can't get it here. It's left-hand drive, but I'd happily have one to play with. Anyway, that's your podcast for today. Question of the week. What to do from show 1000 onwards? What do you want of this podcast, of independent media, of EV media going forward? I'd love to know. Let me know your thoughts. Email hello@evnewsdaily.com. There are 994 previous shows in the archive. Get them all for free, because I couldn't charge for this, at ev.news or evnewsdaily.com. Check out the Patreon if you want, but no pressure. I'll do it anyway. patreon.com/evnewsdaily. And thank you to our premium partners, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, nationalcarcharging.com and allohacharge.com, Derek Riley and his brilliant EV Review Ireland YouTube channel, and Richard Simon's rsev.co.uk is his website, buying and selling EVs here in the UK. Check him out. Have a great day. Catch you tomorrow. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.